everybody. I'm James Diboe, your host on Discovering. This is season 2, and we're back again discovering new things. You know, we discovered the Shakti Reiki last time, and we're going to go more into it. We discovered also modeling, acting with Alicia Actor, and also we're going to be going into, it's like a follow-up of the first season, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. But first, may I introduce Mica Alicia.
Yeah, hello.
And Alicia Actor.
Hello.
Welcome back. Welcome back anyway.
Thank
And the last time we came on, we spoke about the Shakti Reiki.
Yeah.
And we want to follow up with that because you also do distant Reiki now.
I do, yes.
Yeah. So if you want to explain a bit about what is distant Reiki, first of all.
Yeah, so distant Reiki, it's pretty much the same as one-to-one Reiki. It's just that you're not here. You're not there physically on the bed with me, like using my hands over your body. Distant Reiki can be done anywhere in the world, so somebody can get it from a different country as long as we kind of we come together on the same time. So we work out like the time zone, and it's basically like a one-to-one. You book in a time slot.
Okay.
And what I do is I send them a link of some like Reiki healing music to listen to.
Yep.
And at times, so say it's 4 p.m. our time, I'll start at 4 p.m. and I'll play the music at the same time as them. I'll give them a little guideline before it in terms of what to expect, what to do. So I'll always advise them to, lie down somewhere comfortable where they have no distractions. If they have candles to light, incense, anything to help them just relax a little bit more.
Are you on, is it a video where people can see you? Is it?
No, I don't do it on a video.
Right.
Some people do that, but I don't. So I ask for their full name and for them to send a picture of themselves. It's preferably a selfie.
Okay.
Before the session. So when they book in, I will ask for that information and ask where about they are in the world or the country or the city.
International.
And then it gives me time to kind of just connect with their energy. And then, we'll start at that time that we've allocated. We'll play the music at the same time. So we both get into a deep meditative relaxation. And then it's like a symbol that we use. So when doing Reiki, even one-to-one, it's a symbol that we use to just kind of attune the Reiki. And they're all called different things. So it's called Honsha Zeishonen. It's a Japanese word.
Yeah, sounds
and so basically I'll say that in my head a few times, and then I'll lay my crystals out, so over the chakra points, kind of envision that they're lying there. So that's why I asked for the picture of them, so I can picture that, like, their face. So I kind of picture that they're lying there. I put the crystals over the chakra points, and just like one-to-one, I'll go over the chakras and see where the blockages may be. I do a little protective prayer before it, like, inviting in like my ancestors and spirit guides to protect me and to also like help me connect with the person's energy. Sometimes straight away before it, I can pick up, as soon as they tell me they're on a book in, and send me a picture and the full name, and I take those deep breaths, and straight away sometimes I connect and I pick up on where's blocked already, and sometimes but the feedback that I've had from distant Reiki has just been phenomenal. Like, people are blown away. Sometimes people can be quite hesitant because they're unsure on how it may work, and then like the reviews at the end are just always amazing, and they're always blown away of how I've been able to connect and pick up on what I've picked up on from such a distance. On my Instagram page, I posted a recording of a voice note that somebody sent me from London, somewhere in London it was, and she was just blown away. I don't know if you've listened to it.
That was brilliant.
She was just blown away. And then from that, she would put me onto so many different people across London, across South England. And the feedback that I was getting from those was just amazing. And they couldn't believe how much I could connect and pick up on, given the fact that they weren't physically here. And one of them in particular, and I'd never mention names of clients, was just going through a lot of grief, and I could feel it, and I could feel the presence of the person coming to me to tell me that they were going through the grief. And I'd always send a report at the end. So with one-to-one, we'll sit down, have a chat at the end, and it could be like 10, 15 minutes, and I'll discuss what I've picked up on, what the blockages may have been, any additional visualizations that I've seen, anything else that I might have picked up on in general. So with the distance Reiki, I'll write it all out and I'll send it through the text or email or WhatsApp, whatever they prefer. And I'll send that report of, okay, this chakra might have been blocked and this is the reason why. That chakra might have been blocked, this is the reason why.
Yeah.
This also came through. So I send a very thorough report at the end. So it's not just kind of like, okay, it's done. They know on what I've worked on. And some people tell me that they felt like certain blockages that they might have had in the chakra. So say the throat chakra, for an example, they've actually felt the throat chakra opening as I've been working on it. And again, that's from a distance. So
energy is deep.
It's very powerful, very powerful.
Energy is definitely deep. And we're going to come back to that anyway. And Alicia Actor.
Hello.
You all right? Yeah.
Yes, good.
So last time you came on, we were dealing with you were modelling, acting, into drama, and also you went into support work, which we didn't talk about last time, did we?
That's
so
correct.
Whatever order you want to choose to start in.
Yeah, so firstly, I'm a support worker for mental health.
Okay.
Kind of supporting vulnerable people around the communities. And it started when I was about 18. I was absolutely terrified when I first walked into the job because I had little bits of knowledge on mental health, but the more that I've went along and worked, I've learned more about how people kind of work and interact with one another. So that's been like kind of really helped me get stuck into the industry and to understand people's emotions and how they may work. So last time I also never mentioned that the charity that I support as Miss Sovereign is called Well Children.
Okay.
That kind of supports children with disabilities and also mental health issues too. Currently doing university at the minute, and I'm finding it so hard to juggle university with doing pageants as well.
Very busy.
I've kind of had to, I'm not sure about you, Mica, but moving everything on social media has been quite challenging.
Massively.
Also at the same time, like, it's given me the opportunity to learn how to interact further with people via social media and build up them contacts and get me page up and running. In terms of acting and castings, I've been sending lots of emails out to get myself stuck in as much as possible. A few weeks ago, I did have an audition with the BBC.
Oh, great.
Called The Ranganation. That is actually a comedian show. 25 people got selected via audition, and luckily enough, I was one of them. And I got to meet the comedian Romesh. It was lots of fun. What I will say, I was the only Scouser who was on the audition. Everyone else was from all different places. So I think in terms of my pageant and being a beauty queen, I want to make an accessible support system that encourages and supports Black Scousers, because I just feel like there isn't enough opportunities. Mm-hmm. There is opportunities, but there definitely could be more, because the talent can kind of get unrecognised sometimes.
I think there can be pros and cons with being from Liverpool.
Definitely, I think people, because of our accent, I think people can kind of...
You've got to... What I find with Liverpool, you have to select a few who can shine.
Yeah, definitely.
Towards outside of Liverpool, I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've got a natural gift, you will shine one time. You know, it's... And that's why you've got where you're at. You know, it's probably more challenging being from Liverpool, being Black also.
Yeah.
I mean, places even I've travelled to. I remember I was in Venezuela, and somebody, you know, one thing that they worry about me being Black, this was the tourist, and then they said, where are you from? Then when they said I'm born in Liverpool, he said, hide your bags. So there's a stereotype, which Liverpool, so we get double being Black and also being Scouse.
Definitely.
Do you know what I'm saying? So that's like double, but you know what, you can't let nothing stop you and keep it going. It's
something to be proud of and embrace. And even in terms of acting, when I'm doing Shakespeare plays for uni, I've just finished my last assessment, and I was having the discussion whether to do it in a Scouse accent or in a Shakespeare accent, and I thought, well, it's important to represent diversity, so if I'm acting, I will always use my original accent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people have a stronger accent than others, you know,
definitely.
so your accent's not a bad Liverpool accent. Some people have really strong Scouse.
I'm about in Liverpool. I think it's the same everywhere though, because certain parts of London the accents are completely different, like north to south. The accents are completely different. It's the same with Liverpool. You've got a northern Liverpool accent and a southern Liverpool accent, and then you've got Wirral as well, which is, you know, people would say is Scousers. So
well, the other day I had my Shakti Reiki from Mica, and it was my first experience getting Reiki. And it was very, very relaxing, very spiritual, and I felt like me chakras opened even more, you know, so that was a great experience. I would advise anyone to try it.
Yeah.
And you are definitely a person, like I've only had it once, but I know there's people out there who might do Reiki and they can't bring in that energy force properly, but I felt like you had the right energy. You know, very spiritual, and I could feel the energy.
Yeah.
So how would you explain from what you read of me when you did the Reiki on me? What was my energy?
It was very powerful.
Wow.
Very powerful. I felt like there was a really powerful connection. Again, like everyone who comes in, the connection is different. And, you know, each person, it depends on how open-minded they are coming into something like that, because it's a very spiritual practice, and not everybody does believe in that and will not believe that it works. And if you come in that mindset, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to connect with your energy. I'm always going to be able to pick up on what blockages that you have, and, you know, I'm always going to be able to pick up on what you may be going through, and like the advice that I can give you at the end. And again, it depends on that individual person. Obviously, because you're very spiritual anyway, and you're very open-minded to this kind of stuff.
Really deep.
I just straight away was so powerful. Like working on your crown chakra and your third eye chakra was just, I could feel the heat coming from my hands.
Wow.
I could just like see like all this light. I could sense just like all these guides surrounding you. I could see a lot of white light. Very protective energy, but it was very powerful. I felt like my energy and your energy together was just
super
a different level. At one point, I was saying, you know, I was telling to you, I felt like as I was performing Reiki on James and I had my hands over his body, I just felt like we were kind of both out of space a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was like James was still lying there,
Another
and
dimension.
I was still given the Reiki, and it was just like we were completely in a whole different dimension. And I remember you saying you felt that as well.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's it. So even like the recipient will feel things, but I do as well.
Yeah, okay.
And because I go into such a deep meditative trance, it was just so powerful. It was one of the most powerful ones that I've had. And like I was saying, recently for me, through meditating and attending meditation and sound baths and gong baths, I've been feeling a very strong connection with my ancestors, and I feel like there's been one in particular coming through to me recently, and I felt like that same one came through again when I was doing the Reiki on you.
Yeah.
And it that's just how powerful it is. But again, because you're very spiritual and you're into your ancestry and you're into, you know, everything spirituality, it helped massively connecting with your energy. And yeah, it was just so powerful. It really was.
What is sound bath? What's that?
Sound bath, so that's sound bowl. So in the Reiki, I use the sound singing bowls on you, and I do that with everybody. So it's Reiki and sound healing. So you've got like your crystal sound bowls, then you've got your I never say it right, Tibetan sound bowls, and they're related back to like Asia, India. The indigenous tribes have used those spheres as a natural form of healing.
Yeah.
And sound baths, like people will use the sound bowls. They might use gongs. They might use a bit of like drumming, tuning forks. And again, it's all to raise your vibration. It's all to clear your chakras. It helps with relaxation. It helps, again, get into a very deep meditative state of mind. Whenever I use sound healing, I find the meditation's a lot more powerful.
Okay.
A lot more relaxing. I feel like a lot more comes to me, such as like maybe ideas, or again connecting with like ancestors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something that's been used for thousands of years in different tribes across the world.
Yeah.
Some of the bowls that I use, I've learned off somebody, and the bowls that all the way from India, Nepal. Some of them are handmade, and some of them are handmade on a full moon, because they believe that energy is more powerful on a full moon. But they're made from all different types of like metals and brass, and they're just the vibration. As soon as you hit them, you feel it throughout your whole body. You hear it in your ears for ages. And then I was showing you, James, in one of them, when you put water in it, and then you when you like tap it, and then you go around the edge of it, the water starts vibrating in it, and that's what it does to the water in our body. And you know, our bodies are made up of like 60 to 70% of water.
Yeah.
And that's what the bowls does to the water in our body. And that's how it relaxes you, but that's how it also raises your vibration, because it is literally vibrating the water in your body.
Yeah.
So they're so powerful.
Well, I know with the African drums, I remember like you'd have the sound of the war drum. You know, there's the sound of, there's different sounds of the drum, and everybody knows the drum. They read the drum, you know. And last time we were both on here, we were both connecting to spirituality, all of us.
Definitely.
And yourself, Alicia, you know, you were very spiritual yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
I just found it fascinating. Like, thank you for sharing your experiences of vibrations and stuff. Something I've found really difficult over the years with being in the creative industry is kind of picking up, because you work with all kinds of people, picking up energies and kind of just feeling drained myself. And it's made me want to just kind of step out and take some time alone.
It's important to do that.
How would you kind of, how do you balance doing what you do and not taking on other people's energies, if that makes sense? Because that's something I struggle with.
Sometimes it's hard not taking on other people's energies, because I'm an empath, so it sounds like you're an empath as well.
Definitely.
And I can walk in a room, and if it's filled with negativity, straight away I will feel emotional. I might feel a bit angry, I might feel drained. It's just kind of, if I'm ever around that and the work that I'm in, it's sometimes it's hard to not absorb other people's energies. Definitely. I will take time off for myself, and it's putting those boundaries in place where you can say no. So if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit run down, and you know, say something personal, people want you to do this and do that in your personal life, it's okay to say no and set those boundaries into place. And that's what I call self-love. And people think like self-love is all about bubble baths and, you know, nature walks, which it is, but self-love is also putting in boundaries into place. It is putting boundaries into place and taking that time to just sit with yourself and allowing yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, and just switching off. So if you need to switch off your phone, if you need to cry and release it, then release it. And I do that. Like I do that. And I think a lot of people who I think there's a lot of toxic spirituality. So some of the pages you might see and follow, it might be, you know, and I touched on it a little bit last time, of people who say, like, you know, it's positive vibes 24/7, you've got to be happy all the time. That's not the case. It's okay to cry, it's okay to release. It's a part of it, releasing and surrendering, and it's a layer of healing. And when you're around a lot of those energies, sometimes you may feel very overwhelmed and very emotional, and it's better to let it out than to keep it in, because it does more damage keeping that in than letting it out. And then that's where you're blocking your own blessings and you're blocking your chakras. And so for me, I would just kind of take time out. If I need to cry, I'll cry. If I need to meditate, I'll meditate. If I need to go out for a walk, I'll go for a walk. Whatever my body's telling me to do, basically, I will do it. I'm always wearing crystals. I'm very, very believing in crystals. So I'm always wearing like today, like I've got like tiger's eye and black obsidian and smoky quartz, and they're very good protective crystals for keeping you grounded and protecting your energy.
So you'd recommend getting some crystals?
If you're into that, like not everybody is into crystals, but if it's something that you're interested in, give it a try. And it's something that you can try and see for yourself. But my whole bedroom and living room, and I'll wear them constantly, and if I don't wear them, I feel like I can feel the difference. I can feel the difference. So
I try to be balanced.
Meditate,
It can be difficult sometimes. I mean, we can have a bad day, or you don't feel too good that day, and it's hard sometimes to lift yourself up, but it will happen.
Definitely,
it will happen.
That's it.
You've got to
we're human. It's
understanding it. It's understanding our nature as human beings.
Understanding. It's sitting with yourself and understanding. So it's recognising how you feel and trying to understand why you feel that way. And, you know, we're all human. We all have our days. It's normal. And again, so I say like, toxic spirituality is like, tells you can't have these bad days because you should be thinking positive all the time. It's not the case. Life happens to us all. So, but for me, again, like with crystals, I will hold them. I usually hold them in my left hand if I'm meditating, because it's, you know, connected to your heart. So I will hold them in my left hand and maybe meditate with holding some crystals. And and I'll do that. And people again think when you meditate you should have no thoughts in your mind at all, and that's not true.
Just
because you know, when you're meditating, it's if things come to your mind, it might be something that you need to heal, or it might be some ideas that, you know, it could be a business idea. Things do come to your mind when you're meditating, and people tend to say, like, when you meditate, your mind should be still. But the whole point of meditating is your mind's still to the fact that, you know, thoughts might arise, and then it's acknowledging those thoughts.
Definitely.
I've had some of my, you know, my best ideas from meditating because things have come to me in terms of, like, to help my business grow and stuff like that. And if I didn't do that meditation, it might not have come to me at that time. So yeah, it's just taking that time and doing what you feel like you need to. You can't listen to anybody else telling you what you should do, really.
I think it's just, for me, it's about discovering and that path of journey, because usually when people say, do you do pageants, I'm a bit like, I go a bit closed in myself, and the main theme that I wanted to, like, kind of set out was to kind of be spiritual and kind of to represent. It's not really about what you look like, it's about who you are. And I think that was difficult at first, because people think, as soon as they think of pageants, they think, oh, it's all about, like, eyelashes. And it was when I'd done my first pageant, which was Miss Teen Great Britain. And at the time I was only 18, so I was a lot more younger. I'm 20 now. And after having them 2 years and creating my own campaigns and being able to do my own work, I think it's just kind of being a path of realising who I am and what I want to be and what I want to represent as Miss Sovereign.
Everyone's on that path, and
yeah,
everyone experiences an awakening, and, you know, you might experience one awakening and you might experience another awakening 5 years down the line, and then decide that the past 5 years was a lesson to this awakening, and you might decide to go and do something different or incorporate that and change it up. And, you know, we're constantly learning and we're constantly growing and we're constantly on that path.
Definitely.
So even with spirituality, and I think, again, you know, people might look at pageants and think one thing, but, you know, that says more about them, and that maybe some healing that they need to do.
See, the last time I was speaking to Abraham Ojapa when he was on, and I was explaining now, just like we were talking about, there's fake spiritual people out there, or there's people who don't even understand it. So I was saying to him the other day, I call it sacred science, because spirituality a lot is misused.
Yeah.
When we use it, we're using it where it's meaningful, you know, sometimes. But that's a lot of, because I study a lot of the Yoruba teachings, Yoruba priest, whether it was the ancient Kemetic priest. And funny enough, when I was speaking to Misha the other day about Egyptian Reiki, there's not too much information about it. It's very difficult. You probably got to deeply search it. But it's a lot older than India, Japan, China. Well, Africa, it had the oldest civilizations, the oldest knowledge. And a lot of Africans have spread their knowledge through around the world, you know. And the last time you came on, we touched a little bit on the importance of African history. And I thought you've both done really well, you know, so I was really happy with that. We're going to touch on it a little bit more, because everything connects. Everything connects, you know. I feel like Africa is the continent that connects all the dots around the world, all the knowledge. That's where it came from originally. So a little bit on African history from the last time you came on. I don't know if you did any research after that, or you must have learnt a lot from last time to where we are now. So we're going to touch a little bit on African history. Yeah, like what? Just the honest perspective. What do you know about African history? You can touch on any country in Africa. It doesn't matter. If there's any you'd like to speak on it, have it both go. Yep.
I think over the years it's developed, but not much has changed.
Yeah.
As much as people think that it has. I think there's also a lot that, like James, I know you do research, but it's what's true and what's real. That's what I find difficult when researching. I'm like, how do you know what you're reading is true?
Yeah. Well, I study a lot of the scholars, but I don't study any scholar. I'm confident with Renoka Rashidi. I've followed his work for many, many years. I've spoke to him. We speak a lot on Messenger, and we go back and forth. If there's something that I'm unsure about, I'll contact him and I'll ask him. And there's a lot of things that are fake news put out there and fake sites, which sometimes you might just get someone go on Google and then they think they've got the answer. Some things you can just go on Google, but then some things you've got to read books, you've got to research, you might have to travel places. But as far as like dealing with the core of African history, it's about like, see this topic we're on now about spirituality. This is African history.
Yeah,
Definitely. In terms of mental health, something that I was reading about is that Black people are more likely to suffer with mental health issues, and that's because of their socially disadvantaged backgrounds. Someone that I know, I won't mention names, that's close to me for personal reasons, has said I've experienced racism in the working industry, and it's put them off coming back to Liverpool for work, and they're now suffering with schizophrenia and mental health disorders, and I believe them.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, racism in the work environment is something that will always be around.
I think it's something we've all probably experienced.
Yeah. I don't think it gets spoken about enough, and I think it definitely impacts. Obviously, everyone suffers with mental health regardless of the skin colour. I'm not saying,
it's your treatment also for it. You can go to a pharmacy. That doesn't mean it's going to heal you.
Of course.
Sometimes you have to go to villages in other parts of the world and have some nice medicines. Taste up the herbs. That's real. I mean, because mental health been around for a long time, but it's how you choose to deal with it.
Yeah, that's in terms of herbs. This is just my personal opinion. I've never agreed with, medication. That's probably the hardest part about my job, is giving that out. I agree with natural things. Even if I was to be diagnosed with all the illnesses in the world, I would be researching all the natural herbs.
It's what our ancestors did.
Exactly.
It's what our ancestors did. So
I just think in today's society, it's crazy, isn't it?
Well, it's about connecting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And sometimes, when you get deep on a spiritual level and you're in tune at particular times, like we were saying before, the knowledge just comes here.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
The ancestors are there, and you're connecting so strong with them.
Yeah.
And like
you
were saying.
It does. But when you were saying about Egyptian Reiki, it's like something I've looked into, and there's not a lot I can find on it. But they say like Reiki was originated in Japan about 100 years ago.
No, definitely
by
not.
Dr. Yasui, who climbed up the mountain and did a 21-day fast and meditation and prayer for 21 days, and that's how he discovered Reiki and then taught it to other people, and then that's how it got passed down through generations. But then when you look at Kemetic Reiki, it's like, okay, that goes right back to ancient Egypt.
Exactly.
And they like to use the form of when they're giving Reiki, they're connecting to Ma'at. And,
that's right. The balances.
Yeah, and it's right. like they're connecting to Ma'at to heal your other lifetimes and things that you've experienced in other lifetimes. So that's not something that I was taught when I was attuned to Reiki, and it's something I've had to find myself, and it's something that I don't know enough on and I need to research more into. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow.
Well, Buddhism, funny enough, you have Buddhism in Japan, you might have in China, but it's come from India. And it's travelled all the way there. But originally, it would have been an African thing.
Yeah.
Buddha, even before Hinduism, the Indians and East Africans had the same god at one time. And then it's because of a lot of invasions over the years that is being disconnected, So it's all about like knowing where the source of the information comes from. And as far as like dealing with mental health, it's a big thing these days, mental health.
Definitely.
So I could advise people, if you can ever travel, get to travel, go visit these villages, go and speak to these chiefs, these tribal leaders and indigenous peoples. They have a lot of knowledge. I learned a lot when I was there, so if you ever, that would be something worth doing in the future. If you get a chance to travel again,
Sorry, James, in terms of like villages, do you mean like deprived villages where people have kind of had kind of tough lives?
Well, it's funny enough when you say tough, because not so much tough, I wouldn't really say that, because what we consider as rich is different to people in the rainforest will call rich.
Yeah.
Because rich to them is they're all around all the resources. Unfortunately, sometimes where you'll get the governments of particular countries, they'll start taking over areas in this rainforest where a lot of resources are. So they'll have to hunt in smaller locations. Even sometimes I could name a lot of places. Let's just deal with Malaysia, for example. In Malaysia, it's a rainforest and it borders the rainforest of Thailand. Now, I've been both sides of the rainforest, but there's parts where they're taking loads of spots. So, and then what they try and do is engage the indigenous peoples to work with their government. So they'll do a lot of the work and provide a lot of the medicines. But then when it hits the pharmaceuticals, how much percentage goodness are you getting? You know, so it's about doing your own research. It's about, do primary research. It's things are difficult more to do these days, but if you really want to do something, you really want to know something, you will take that step.
That's really good advice, James, in terms of travelling, because I think especially in Britain, mental health kind of can be, like, we can associate mental health with lots of things, and I think there's a difference between the two. There's a difference between having a bad day and not getting out of bed, and there's a difference between actually having mental health. And I think because we're such a wealthy country, there's all kinds here for us. In villages like that, they've had to hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, the company you keep as well.
Yeah,
the company you keep. Things, your lifestyle choices, what you decide to eat, what you're deciding to do, who you surround yourself by. Like, that's right. I used to suffer with mental health, and that's why I started getting into meditation and crystals and started getting Reiki myself. And even like the sound baths and the gong baths, like feeling what that was doing in my body as I was lying there, I was just blown away. And then to know that that's what they did in tribes thousands and thousands of years ago to heal you, as well as the herbs they were having. It's to do with your lifestyle choices as well. Definitely. And sometimes people might have a bad day and decide to go and grab a McDonald's and eat loads of processed meat and sugar, or drink alcohol.
What's advertised, isn't it?
Yeah, but really you should be swaying towards more.
There's people like yourself who advertise like good Reiki and positivity, and also I think like it's the way you touch on, you don't always have to have a good day. Yeah, that's really helpful.
It's important to promote that. I think it's important to promote that you don't have to have a good day every day, because we're human. Things happen. So
well, you know what though, it's been great having you both on today. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the time and that, but this is a great follow up of last time on season 1. I watched the podcast back yesterday, thought it was amazing. I was discovering new things myself, and today we're also discovering new things as well. So I'm your host, James Diboe.